28 years ago, Michael Hawthorne and his wife Rebecca lived in a small apartment with their young son, Ethan. Money was always tight. Bills piled up on the kitchen table, and many nights they worried about how they would make it through another month. Yet every sacrifice they made had one purpose: giving Ethan a better future. Michael worked construction during the day and often took extra warehouse shifts at night. Rebecca worked at a library and cleaned offices in the evenings. They rarely bought anything for themselves. Vacations were impossible. Luxury was unimaginable. Every dollar went toward Ethan's future. When Ethan was 10 years old, he was selected for an expensive science program. The family couldn't afford it. To pay for the opportunity, Michael sold the watch his father had left him, the most valuable possession he owned. Rebecca cried when she learned what he had done, but Michael simply smiled and said that Ethan's future mattered more than any object. Years passed. Ethan excelled in school. He earned scholarships, awards, and recognition. Eventually, he graduated from one of the nation's top universities and landed a prestigious job at a major investment firm. For the first time, Michael and Rebecca believed their years of sacrifice had paid off. Their son had achieved everything they dreamed for him. One evening, Ethan attended a charity gala filled with wealthy professionals. There, he met a beautiful and sophisticated woman named Victoria Sinclair. She was charming, confident, and seemed perfect. As Ethan introduced himself, Victoria smiled warmly. That moment would change his life forever. Neither Ethan nor his parents knew that the greatest test of their family was about to begin. Over the next 6 months, Ethan and Victoria grew very close. They spent nearly every day together. She appeared intelligent, supportive, and deeply interested in his future. Ethan quickly fell in love. Eventually, he brought Victoria home to meet his parents. Rebecca prepared a special dinner. Michael cleaned the house and looked forward to meeting the woman who might become his son's wife. Victoria impressed everyone. She complimented Rebecca's cooking, praised Michael's garden, and treated both parents with apparent kindness and respect. But later that evening, after Victoria left, Michael confessed to Rebecca that something felt wrong. He couldn't explain it. He simply felt uneasy. Months passed. Ethan spent more time with Victoria and less time with his parents. Phone calls became shorter. Visits became less frequent. Rebecca missed her son but tried to understand. Meanwhile, Victoria became increasingly interested in Ethan's finances. She often asked about investments, properties, inheritance, and future wealth. One evening at a celebration dinner following Ethan's promotion, a mysterious man briefly caught Ethan's attention. The man appeared to recognize Victoria. When Ethan asked about him, Victoria quickly denied knowing him. Later that night, Victoria received a message from the same man. The message read, "He's completely in love with you." Victoria replied, "Everything is under control." A few weeks later, Ethan proposed. Victoria accepted. The wedding plans began immediately. As Ethan celebrated, Michael quietly warned him, "Love her, respect her, build a life with her, but never stop thinking for yourself." Ethan laughed and assured his father there was nothing to worry about. But Michael's concern remained. The wedding was beautiful. Friends and family gathered to celebrate Ethan and Victoria's future. Everything appeared perfect. During the reception, a woman named Maria Alvarez recognized Michael and Rebecca. Years earlier, when Maria had been struggling and homeless, the Hawthornes had helped her rebuild her life. She never forgot their kindness. After the wedding, Maria unexpectedly received a housekeeping position at Ethan and Victoria's home. At first, married life seemed wonderful. Ethan's career continued growing. The couple moved into a luxurious home. Social media showed smiling faces and expensive vacations. But behind closed doors, things were changing. Victoria slowly began influencing Ethan's decisions. She encouraged him to spend less time with his parents and more time focusing on their future together. Whenever Michael invited Ethan fishing or Rebecca asked him to visit, Victoria always found subtle ways to discourage it. Maria also noticed strange behavior: secret phone calls, private conversations, sudden mood changes. One evening, she overheard Victoria speaking to a man on speakerphone. The man laughed and said, Once everything is transferred, we're done pretending. The words troubled Maria deeply. She couldn't explain why, but for the first time she suspected something was wrong. Over the following year, Ethan drifted further away from his parents. Family dinners became rare. Holiday visits were canceled. Phone calls became brief. Rebecca often sat alone looking through old photo albums, wondering why her son seemed so distant. Victoria continued planting doubts in Ethan's mind. She never openly attacked Michael or Rebecca. Instead, she suggested that they were too involved in his life, too protective, too controlling, too dependent. Slowly, Ethan began seeing his parents differently. One afternoon, Michael visited Ethan unexpectedly. During a private conversation, he asked, "Are you making your own decisions?" The question irritated Ethan. To him, it sounded like criticism. To Michael, it was concern. Later that evening, Victoria told Ethan she felt judged and unwelcome around his parents. Again, Ethan defended her. Again, distance grew between him and the people who loved him most. Meanwhile, Maria discovered financial documents suggesting that ownership of several assets was gradually being transferred into structures controlled by Victoria. She didn't fully understand the details, but she knew enough to worry. Eventually, she saw Victoria secretly meeting the same mysterious man she had heard on the phone. His name was Damien Cross, and their relationship appeared far more personal than professional. After months of distance, Rebecca invited Ethan and Victoria to dinner. She spent the entire day preparing Ethan's favorite meals. For a brief moment, it felt like old times. Everyone smiled. Everyone talked. Everything seemed normal. Then the conversation shifted. Michael questioned why Victoria always seemed uncomfortable whenever Ethan spent time with his parents. Victoria immediately became emotional. She accused Michael of judging her and making her feel unwelcome. Ethan quickly took his wife's side. The argument escalated. Years of frustration finally surfaced. Michael told Ethan that he was changing, that he barely visited, that he seemed to be pushing away the people who loved him. Then Michael said the one thing Victoria feared most. "Ever since she came into your life, everything changed." Victoria burst into tears. Ethan became furious. He demanded that his father apologize. Michael refused. The dinner ended in disaster. As Ethan and Victoria prepared to leave, Michael delivered one final warning. "One day you'll discover that love without trust becomes blindness." Ethan ignored him. The front door closed. Rebecca sat crying at the kitchen table. Michael silently watched as the family he spent decades building began falling apart. And somewhere else in the city, Damien received a message from Victoria. The message read, "Everything is moving exactly as planned." Months passed, and the distance between Ethan and his parents continued to grow. Rebecca's health began suffering from stress and heartbreak. She spent more time alone, often looking through old photographs and wondering what had happened to the close relationship she once shared with her son. Meanwhile, Victoria shifted her focus toward Ethan's finances. She constantly spoke about protecting their future, organizing their wealth, and simplifying ownership structures. Her arguments sounded logical and responsible. Ethan never questioned her intentions. One evening, she presented him with a stack of legal documents. She explained that they were routine financial restructuring papers designed to protect their assets. Trusting her completely, Ethan signed every page without reading carefully. Again, and again, and again. Each signature quietly transferred more control away from him. Victoria secretly photographed the signed documents and sent them to Damien. His reply was simple: "Excellent. Phase 3 begins now." Meanwhile, Michael met Ethan for coffee and offered one final piece of financial advice. "Never sign anything you haven't personally reviewed. I don't care who gives it to you. Read everything." Ethan dismissed the warning. To him, it sounded like unnecessary worry. To Michael, it was a desperate attempt to protect his son. That same week, Maria noticed even more suspicious financial activity and decided she could no longer remain a passive observer. For the first time, she began collecting evidence. Maria started paying close attention to everything happening inside the Hawthorne mansion. She noticed secret meetings, private conversations, suspicious phone calls, and increasingly strange behavior from Victoria. One morning, Maria overheard Victoria speaking with Damien. Damien laughed and said, "Once the parents are gone, he'll have nobody left except you." Victoria replied, "He's already pulling away from them." Damien smiled. "Good. Isolation makes people easier to control." Those words changed everything for Maria. She purchased a small digital recorder and began carefully documenting suspicious conversations. At the same time, Rebecca's health continued declining. Doctors explained that emotional stress was affecting her well-being. Michael knew exactly why. She missed her son. She missed her family. She missed the life they once had. Meanwhile, Ethan continued drifting further away from his parents. Every disagreement seemed to push him closer to Victoria and further from the people who truly cared about him. Maria's recordings continued growing, and with every new conversation, she became more convinced that Victoria and Damien were deliberately destroying the Hawthorne family. Victoria decided it was time for the final stage of her manipulation. One evening, she confronted Ethan and asked a devastating question. "Do you love me?" Ethan assured her that he did. Then she quietly said, "I think you need to choose." Ethan stared in disbelief. "Choose?" Victoria nodded. "Me or your parents?" The demand shocked him, but months of emotional manipulation had weakened his judgment. At the same time, Rebecca's health continued deteriorating. Michael watched helplessly as heartbreak slowly consumed the woman he loved. Maria gathered more evidence and discovered that Victoria and Damien were planning to take nearly everything Ethan owned. Then came the final confrontation. An argument erupted between Ethan, Victoria, Michael, and Rebecca. Emotions exploded. Accusations flew. And finally, Ethan broke. Looking directly at his parents, he said, "If you can't respect my marriage, then maybe you shouldn't be here anymore." The room fell silent. Rebecca cried. Michael stood motionless. Without arguing, they quietly packed their belongings and left. As they walked out, Michael turned back one final time and said, "One day you'll understand." Then the door closed, and with it, the Hawthorne family shattered. Michael and Rebecca moved into an assisted living residence. Neither complained, neither blamed Ethan, but both carried enormous pain. Meanwhile, Victoria and Damien celebrated. The parents were gone. The financial transfers were nearly complete. Their plan appeared successful. Then Maria discovered something shocking. One afternoon, she caught Victoria and Damien together inside the mansion. Not as friends, not as business partners, but as lovers. She secretly recorded their conversation. Damien laughed and said, "Imagine how stupid he'll feel when he finally realizes." Victoria replied, "He won't realize until it's too late." Maria finally had direct proof. The evidence she needed. The evidence that could expose everything. Meanwhile, Ethan received legal documents revealing that ownership of many assets had already been transferred. As he reviewed the paperwork, panic set in. For the first time, he realized something was terribly wrong. His father's warnings echoed in his mind, and for the first time, he feared they had been right all along. The next day, Ethan returned home determined to confront Victoria. When he arrived, he immediately sensed something was wrong. A strange man's jacket hung near the entrance. A strange pair of shoes sat beside the stairs. Then he heard laughter upstairs. A man's laughter, and Victoria's. Ethan rushed toward the bedroom. When he opened the door, he found Victoria and Damien together. His world collapsed. He demanded an explanation. Victoria offered none. Instead, she coldly admitted the truth. It was all exactly what it looks like. Damien mocked him. Victoria handed Ethan legal documents proving that much of the mansion and many assets now legally belonged to her. Then she said the words he never expected to hear. "You need to leave." Ethan stood frozen. The woman he sacrificed everything for had betrayed him. The parents he abandoned had tried to warn him. And now he had lost nearly everything. Days turned into weeks. He moved between hotels. Friends disappeared. Business relationships faded. The luxury lifestyle vanished. One evening, he listened to an old voicemail from his mother. Her voice broke him completely. For the first time, he truly understood what he had lost. Then Maria called. She told him she knew the truth. And she had proof. For the first time in months, a small spark of hope appeared. Not hope for revenge. Hope for the truth. 2 days later, Ethan met Maria at a small cafe in downtown Seattle. Maria arrived carrying a laptop and a thick folder filled with evidence. Ethan looked exhausted. The confident businessman he once was had disappeared. In his place sat a broken man searching for answers. Maria warned him that the truth would be painful. Then she began playing recordings. In one recording, Damien said, "Once the parents are gone, he'll have nobody left except you." Victoria replied, "He's already pulling away from them." Damien laughed. "Good. Isolation makes people easier to control." Ethan sat frozen. Maria played another recording. Damien asked, "How much is still in his name?" Victoria answered, "Not much." Then Maria played the recording that shattered him completely. Victoria laughed and said, "He still thinks I married him because I loved him." Damien laughed. And Victoria replied, "That was the easiest part." For the first time, Ethan fully understood the truth. There had never been a real marriage. There had only been a carefully planned scheme. Maria then revealed photographs proving that Victoria and Damien had been involved long before Victoria ever met Ethan. He had never been a husband. He had been a target. Finally, Ethan asked the question he feared most. "My parents, where are they?" Maria handed him the address of the assisted living residence. As he stared at the card, he realized he was about to face the two people he had hurt most. And for the first time in years, he was terrified. The next morning, Ethan drove to the assisted living residence. He sat in his car for several minutes, unable to move. Eventually, he gathered the courage to walk inside. A nurse directed him to the garden. There, beneath a large tree, sat Michael and Rebecca. They looked older, more tired, more fragile. The sight nearly broke him. Rebecca noticed him first. "Ethan?" The moment he heard his mother's voice, his emotions overwhelmed him. He fell to his knees and began crying. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong." Rebecca immediately embraced him, like she had when he was a child, like she had after every mistake he ever made. Michael eventually stood and hugged him too. No anger, no shouting, only forgiveness. Later, while walking through the garden, Michael revealed a secret. Years earlier, when Ethan was selected for an expensive science program, the family couldn't afford it. Michael had sold his late father's watch to pay for Ethan's opportunity. Rebecca had sold treasured jewelry. Neither had ever told him. The realization crushed Ethan. His parents had sacrificed everything for his future, and he had repaid them by sending them away. Meanwhile, Maria delivered months of evidence to authorities. The investigation officially began. The lies were finally starting to collapse. As investigators reviewed Maria's evidence, they discovered something shocking. Damien and Victoria had likely done similar things before. Different cities, different identities, different victims. The fraud appeared far bigger than anyone expected. Meanwhile, Ethan cooperated fully with investigators. He provided documents, answered questions, and helped uncover the truth. At the same time, Victoria began realizing something terrifying. Damien was preparing to leave. Suitcases appeared in his apartment. Secret accounts were being opened. Plans were being made, and she wasn't included. For years, she believed Damien loved her. Now she realized he only loved money. The same lesson Ethan had learned months earlier. One evening, sitting alone in her apartment, Victoria finally understood the cost of her choices. She had destroyed the one person who truly loved her, Ethan, and now she was watching her own life fall apart. Meanwhile, Ethan continued rebuilding his relationship with Michael and Rebecca. For the first time in years, he felt something money could never buy. Home. The investigation intensified. Every week brought new evidence. Every week brought new discoveries. The case against Victoria and Damien grew stronger. Damien decided it was time to run. He packed passports, prepared suitcases, moved money, and planned to disappear, just as he had done before. One morning, he loaded luggage into his vehicle and prepared to leave. Then several unmarked police vehicles entered the parking garage. Investigators stepped out. Officers surrounded him. Damien tried to run, but only made it a few steps before he was arrested. Years of manipulation ended in seconds. At the same time, Victoria learned that Damien had planned to abandon her. He never intended to protect her, never intended to stay, never intended to share the future she imagined. The man she betrayed everyone for had betrayed her too. During questioning, investigators presented overwhelming evidence. Recordings, documents, financial transfers, witness statements, months of material collected by Maria. For the first time, Victoria realized there was no escape. The lies were over. Justice had arrived. Meanwhile, Ethan thanked Maria. She simply smiled and replied, "I wasn't protecting you. I was protecting the people who once protected me." Those words reminded Ethan of something important. Kindness always returns, sometimes years later, but it returns. 6 months later, justice was served. Victoria and Damien were held accountable for their actions. Their greed had finally caught up with them. But for Ethan, the greatest victory wasn't legal. It was personal. He spent every day rebuilding his relationship with his parents. He worked hard, started over, and slowly rebuilt his financial future, this time with wisdom, not arrogance. One day he drove Michael and Rebecca to a beautiful new house. Not a mansion, not extravagant, just warm, comfortable, peaceful, the kind of place filled with love. Then he handed Michael a set of keys. "What is this?" Michael asked. Ethan smiled through tears. "Home," Rebecca cried. Michael struggled to speak. The son they sacrificed everything for had finally come back. Weeks later, the family gathered in their new backyard. Maria joined them too, because she was no longer an employee. She was family. As the sun began setting, Michael shared one final lesson. Most people spend their lives trying to become rich. Very few spend their lives trying to become valuable. Then he continued, "Money can be lost. Houses can be lost. Cars can be lost. Investments can be lost. But character is the one asset nobody can take from you." Ethan listened carefully. Every word carried the weight of experience. Michael added, "The biggest financial mistake isn't losing money. The biggest financial mistake is trusting someone blindly while ignoring the people who truly care about you." Years later, Ethan launched a foundation supporting elderly people abandoned by their families. He dedicated his success to helping others avoid the mistakes he had made. One evening, sitting beside his father on the porch, Ethan asked, "What's the most important thing you've learned in life?" Michael smiled and answered, "Wealth is not measured by what you own. It's measured by who sits beside you when you lose everything." Then he shared one final lesson. "Money is a tool. Never make it your master. Use money to protect your family. Never sacrifice your family to protect money." Ethan looked toward the house. Rebecca and Maria were laughing in the kitchen. Warm light spilled through the windows. The house wasn't the most expensive place he had ever lived, but it was the richest, because it was filled with love. And love is the only investment that continues growing even when everything else disappears. And never let money make you forget the people who helped you earn it. And never trust someone simply because they love your success. Trust the people who stay when success disappears. Read every contract and understand every financial decision. The fortune can be rebuilt. A broken family may never get a second chance. The richest people are not those who own the most. The richest people are those who still have love, loyalty, and family when everything else is gone. Money can buy a house, but only love can make it a home.